amazing what you say on 80 milligrams of OxyContin. And some of you may remember my Jenny Mummert. Anybody here remember Jenny? We met at a Unitarian Universalist Singletarians meeting. Fran, were you there? Yeah. And that's where we met. And we did fall in love, and we had 27 good years of marriage, but we divorced recently. And she's still teaching, so if you ever see her, say hi. Okay, let us join in centering silence. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be received and celebrated and shared in the spirit of love. So may it be. I met Tommy in the fall of 1980, my first year of seminary. I was working at, believe it or not, First Baptist Church downtown, otherwise known as the Donald Duck Church. Anybody here know why? Okay, good. For those of you who are new to town, Mr. and Mrs. Kilgore, if you want to know why, just call me up, or just go down to Broadway, stand at the field house and look up at the spire. And eventually, if you, as Jesus says, have eyes that see, you'll see. I was living on the third floor of the Sunday school wing after my first divorce. I called myself the First Baptist monk. One Saturday, or I believe it was Friday afternoon, I got back from seminary and I went to the grocery store for a few items for the week. 2 bags. And I want to warn you, try to remember the words of this sermon, because at the end I'm going to have a song that is going to test your memory. Okay? 2 bags of groceries. I walk up to the back door of the church, and here there's a young man sitting. And he said, "I'm hungry. Do you have any food?" What could I say? 2 bags of groceries. Yeah, come on in. It's a huge kitchen. Huge kitchen. 3 ovens, big ovens. So I picked a TV dinner, he picked a TV dinner. I said, "Tommy, that'll be about 30 minutes. What do you do, Tommy?" I love to sing in church choirs. Yeah? What else do you do, Tommy? I'm working on a Master of Arts in skiing. Tommy had dark, short, curly hair, black piercing eyes, olive hue skin, a purple jacket that was way too short, satiny, kind of shiny, blue jeans, way too tight, that were up way past his ankles, black high-top Converse sneakers, no socks. Okay. Tommy went over to the corner of the kitchen and stood on his head for a minute. That's when I thought to myself, well, this guy's just out of Fulton State Hospital. Just up the road. And then he looked at me and said, "I need to shave." Well, I walked upstairs with him and showed him the bathroom, gave him my razor. I'm glad he didn't say he hadn't brushed his teeth for that. I need to shave. He shaved. He said, "It's cold outside." That very morning, you talk about synchronicity. I had just been given 2 blankets, so what did I have to do? Give him one. We walked downstairs. It was time to eat. We ate. We talked. After about an hour, I said, "Well, Tommy, it's been good to meet you. I hope things go well for you. He looked at me and said, you don't mean that. What? No, you really don't mean that. Tommy, what do you mean I don't mean that? You don't mean it. I said, Tommy, I care about you. I mean, I fed you. I let you shave. I gave you a blanket. I shared an hour of time with you. That's when Tommy looked me straight in the eyes, and you know the old saying, the eyes are the window to what? Soul. And he saw to my very soul. And he said these words that I'll never forget. Your words did not sting. You know, the reading today, choose the lesser good, fallen and all that stuff. Perfect. Your words did not sing, and I knew that he was right. Because, you know, I don't know, Gertrude, if you've ever done this, but sometimes when people show up at your door and you're busy and you have things to do, you know, you spend some time with them, but then you hope that they leave very soon. You know, and you pass them down the road, you know, and they become somebody else's problem. It's called bus therapy. And I'm not the only minister who's done it. But I felt ashamed of myself because he was right. So, the blurb for today was my visit with an angelic messenger, right? What's the definition of the word angel? Anybody know? I feel like I'm in class. Anybody know?
Messenger from God?
Messenger. Who said that? Yeah, thank you. Librarian, of course. Messenger from God. So, I see Tommy as an angelic visitor. What's the message that I heard loud and clear from Tommy? My words have to sing. In order for my words to sing, they have to be sincere. But not only sincere words, they have to come from what I call the spirit of love. You have to be sincere. I mean, Rush Limbaugh's sincere, right? But do you hear much love from Rush Limbaugh? Words have to be centered in the spirit of love. In philosophy class, in all my classes, I teach my students the difference between belief and knowledge. Belief is merely an opinion, right? And knowledge is the justified, true belief. So, can I stand here and tell you that I know I had a visit from an angel? No, I can't. I don't know if it was an angel. Just like what happened up in the center a few weeks ago. You know, everybody thought there was an angel that helped that girl in the car. Then they found out a few days ago it was a priest who still brought an angelic message of comfort and peace. But you know what? I still look for Tommy. I still look for him in church choirs. Does he? I look for him on TV when I see skiing events. You know? And when I was in Jerusalem a few years ago, I thought I saw a twin in the old city. Two illustrations of words that sing. 10 years ago, my youngest daughter, Melissa, called. Dad, I know what I want to do with my life. Yeah, what's that? I'm going to be a minister. I'm going to go to seminary. Well, that's great, Melissa. That's wonderful. You don't sound surprised. No, I'm not surprised at all. I thought the Spirit had anointed you a few years ago. What do you mean? Well, 1984, a few days before I was going to go to jail for 5.5 months for doing civil disobedience at Whiteman Air Force Base. You know, I met with you and Karen, and I said, well, girls, you know, Daddy's going to be gone for half a year. Do you understand why? And Karen, who's sitting here recording this, she's the oldest, and just as every older child is, you know, responsible and concrete and, you know, just businesslike. She said, well, yeah, Dad, you did the crime, so now you have to do the time. She was 12 years old when she said that. I think it's because my first wife, her stepfather, was a lawyer. But Melissa, guess what she said? Guess what she said? She said, Dad, it's kind of like Horton Hears a Who. What? Yeah, it's like Horton Hears a Who. Well, I'm not familiar with that. I mean, I remember it, but not all of it. Why is it like that? Well, yeah, Dad, it's like an elephant. You know, Horton, he was walking along and he was going to pick up a flower. And on that flower there were Who's in the village of Whoville. And they saw that he was going to pick the flower, and they knew that would destroy the world, their world. So they knew they had to make a whole lot of noise. They had to shout and make noise and play their instruments, so they all did it, and he was still reaching down, and then they found one person who wasn't doing that. And they got him to play his trumpet, and they all shouted, "We want to live, we want to live." And Horton heard it, and he stopped. She said, "That's what you're trying to do, Dad. You're trying to get everybody in the whole world to say, we want to live, we want to live." And that's when I knew that the spirit of the anointing was upon her. And that it would just be a matter of time before she figured it out. And the worst thing that a parent can do is tell a kid that, right? So I didn't tell her.